Hello, my friends on YouTube. I was planning to make a video every week about the people who have been either assassinated, murdered, or abused by Muhammad. However, what's going on today on the stage, on the world stage, requires some understanding uh, of what's really going on. Um, about the journalist Khashoggi, the Saudi journalist that has been murdered in the Saudi consulate. As I was thinking and reflecting on this situation, I need to kind of explain. I made a video before that calling the second coming of Muhammad. This, you can say, is an extension to that video. Uh, as we think and reflect on the situation in what Muhammad is doing, what's going on today on the world stage, we find similarity, and I'm going to speak from a historical perspective. I'm not trying to criticize or convert people to anything, okay? But there is a reality, there are historical facts, even within starting any religion. So we will have to kind of like touch on these facts. Now, what I would like to talk about is three people that they have very similar or almost the same characteristics, but on a different level, on a smaller level, middle level, and higher level. The first one is Barabbas. And for those who do not know who Barabbas is, if you study Christianity, at the time of the crucifixion of Jesus, there was another person. His name was Barabbas. He was to be crucified at the same time. However, the Jewish people at this time, they had tradition that they can free one person, a guilty person. They will set him free. They will forgive his whatever action he did, and he will be free. So the people were to choose between two individuals, either to free Jesus or to free Barabbas. Jesus, whether you believe in Jesus or not, whether you are, I know some people are atheists, some Buddhists, some Hindu, some Christian. Believing in Jesus or not is not the issue here. However, Jesus, from a historical perspective, as a human being, he, I mean, mainly his teaching, he is talking about loving your enemy, loving God, loving your neighbor. I mean, a message of peace. He never murdered anybody, he never raped any woman, he never destroyed anything. Okay, he may have been radical uh, in terms of speech, but he never committed anything to harm or hurt others. Whereas Barabbas was a thief, murderer, and a terrorist of his time. He was terrorizing the people of Israel at this time. Now, the deep state didn't start to exist at this time only. The deep state, actually, since the beginning of time, there are people who have interest to control the world and control you and me. All right? There are deep state people who really even control the governments of the world. They are more powerful than the government. Okay? So the deep state, even though Jesus was not teaching anything violent, but his message, it reflected danger to them in the near future. because he was talking about new kingdom, and they were the ruler of the old kingdom. If he is to bring a new kingdom, he's so dangerous to them, so they had to get rid of him quickly. And therefore, they managed to change the public opinion of those people Jesus, as from historical perspective. He fed them, he healed them, he comforted them. They managed to turn the public against him, and instead of letting this person who speaks of peace, love, and harmony, let him go free, they chose, they agitated the people to call for the crucifixion of Jesus and free Barabbas, the terrorist, the killer. See? So that killer was set free at the time of Jesus, and the innocent was crucified. Now, 600 years later, actually, I'm not sure about this piece of information, but a person told me that Barabbas, at the end of his life, he was caught and he was killed. He was caught and he was killed. Now, fast forward 600 years later, and as it is known in Judaism and Christianity, number 6, like 666, this number is a satanic number. 600 years after Jesus was crucified and Barabbas set free, we have a larger Barabbas coming on the stage. That was Muhammad. Was a Barabbas on the national, like national and international level, because he started on the national from Arabia, which is a nation now, but also he extended his influence all over the world. So Barabbas was local. The second Barabbas, Muhammad, was more of an international figure. Barabbas on the local level, he terrorized, killed, and raped. Muhammad on the national level, terrorized, killed, and raped. See the similarity? Only 600 years difference. Now, from Muhammad until today, that's 1400 years. That really has nothing to do with 666 or number 6. But we have Muhammad bin Salman, which in my opinion is the third Barabbas or the second coming of Muhammad, either way. With the wealth from the oil, that abundance that they experienced from the 60s of last century until the 20th century until today, from being a Bedouin running in the desert with a couple of goats and a sheep, to have that tremendous wealth because of the oil. They had to use the oil into something to advance the agenda of the teaching of the second Barabbas, Muhammad. First Barabbas really did not have an ideology, or maybe he had some thoughts how to terrorize people, but it was never really put in books, where Muhammad managed to put it in books and make it theology. Okay, and he had followers. Barabbas did not. Muhammad did, who have carried on until today. And today we have a person who is, in a way, Muhammad was poor. Yes, he stole some money from some people, some tribes nearby, and yes, he looted, but that was not really anything near the wealth that the Arab nations in the Gulf region have today because of oil and natural gas that they found under their countries. Now, the fact is, Muhammad and Muhammad bin Abdullah, Muhammad, the founder of Islam, and Muhammad bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, they have a lot of similarity. Both of them, they are hungry for power. Even Barabbas, he was doing what he was doing because he thought he was a righteous man, and he was hungry for power to lead. Muhammad, the founder of Islam, he wanted the caliphate. He wanted to sit on top and command. He was actually like Hitler. He was ahead of his time. He was actually he was smarter than Hitler and Karl Marx, because his ideology really took over and lasted more than any of these two. So he was smart. He knew what he was doing. But he was very evil at the same time. Now, to establish his caliphate, everything that the end justifies the mean. So he did everything possible: kill, murder, assassinate. Anything was justified as long as he established his caliphate. Now, fast forward 1,400 years later, we have Muhammad bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. He kills his opposition as Muhammad did. And now the ironic thing is, those who have arranged to kill his opposition, the journalist Jamal Khashoggi, is not that he ordered to kill Jamal Khashoggi only. Now he has to kill 5 more people of the people who have carried the mission that he commanded as the scapegoat, so he can look free. He didn't do anything. But everybody knows in the Middle East, in the West, in the East, everybody knows that his hand is stained with blood. Now, my question here, I know we have interest because of oil, because of the stability of the region, because if Saudi Arabia goes down, Iran will go up, and Iran will start blowing things up. I understand that. But seriously, the West is not taking a stand. That's number one. Number two is, where are the Muslim religious leaders who always, when something bad happens, they say, this has nothing to do with Islam. This man is innocent. Where are they? We don't hear any of them. We don't hear one single Muslim leader criticizing this behavior and saying it is wrong. Why? Because all of you work for money. All of you, filthy, dirty creatures. You work, you will say whatever is asked of you as long as you are paid. Okay? My advice, the world and world leaders, please pay attention to this, because the future looks very dark if it continues. Thank you very much. We'll see you again.